In 2026, we have the most advanced sports science in human history. We have $500 carbon-plated shoes, AI-driven recovery apps, and billion-dollar supplement labs. So why are we, as a species, physically falling apart? Why are elite marathoners and triathletes, people at the absolute peak of fitness, snapping tendons and tearing ligaments at record rates? Today, we're going to look at a disturbing piece of evidence from a 2021 sports medicine study out of Oslo. It found that despite following perfect nutrition protocols, over 40% of elite athletes suffered a major connective tissue failure in just 1 year. But then, researchers looked at the bones of Norse warriors from 900 AD. These men rode open oceans, fought hand-to-hand, and survived sub-zero winters. Their skeletons show almost zero of the micro-damage we see in modern pros. Only physical load, wildly different structural outcomes. What did the Vikings know about functional strength that we've completely forgotten? The answer isn't in a lab. It's growing on a tree in the middle of a frozen forest. If you want to understand why your body is more fragile than your ancestors, you need to watch until the end of this. Let's get into the numbers, because they are honestly terrifying. The University of Oslo followed 42 elite endurance athletes, the best of the best. These people were fully supplemented, eating clean and monitored by professionals. Yet nearly half of them were sidelined by soft tissue injuries. We're talking tendons, ligaments, and fascia, the glue that holds your skeleton together. Now contrast that with a separate analysis of Norse remains found near Trondheim. These weren't just big guys. These were careers bicycles and warriors. When you look at the places where their tendons attached to their bones, you'd expect to see massive wear and tear, right? But the researchers noted something that barely made the news. Those attachment points were pristine. This should make you uncomfortable. It means that despite our advancements, we have developed a deep structural fragility that our ancestors simply didn't have. We've built engines, our muscles and heart, that are too powerful for our chassis, our connective tissue. We're like a Ferrari engine inside a cardboard frame. Either the Vikings had some secret biological advantage, or they were doing something we dismissed as primitive folk medicine that was quietly keeping them bulletproof. And the truth is, the secret was hiding in the needles of a pine tree. If you go to a gym today, everyone is talking about protein synthesis, VO2 max, and anabolic windows. But notice what nobody's talking about. Collagen. Collagen is the most abundant protein in your body. It's what makes your tendons like steel cables and your ligaments like heavy-duty rubber bands. But here's the thing. Your body cannot synthesize collagen effectively without a continuous, bioavailable supply of vitamin C. And I'm not talking about the sugary orange juice or the dry white pills you buy at the pharmacy. The average American gets their vitamin C from fortified cereals or a daily multivitamin. But did you know that standard ascorbic acid, synthetic vitamin C, often has a bioavailability rate as low as 30%? Most of it never even hits your bloodstream. Researchers at Oregon State University have been shown that whole food vitamin C, the kind that comes wrapped in bioflavonoids, rutin, and hesperidin, absorbs into your tissues in a completely different way. We took the most powerful, nutrient-dense sources off the table and replaced them with a cheap lab-grown version. Then we act surprised when our Achilles tendons start snapping. So, what did the Vikings use? They didn't have oranges, they didn't have lemons, they lived in a world of ice and rock. What they had was the conifer forest, specifically spruce tips and pine needles. In early spring, spruce tips are bright green and absolutely packed with ascorbic acid at concentrations that rival citrus fruits. But the Vikings didn't just eat them raw. They brewed needle infusions, and most importantly, they fermented them. They created a spruce tip, butt, or infusion that they carried on long voyages. This wasn't just tea. The fermentation process is the key. It breaks down the plant cell walls, making those locked-up nutrients accessible to your gut. It also creates organic acids that boost mineral absorption. A Norse crew drinking this daily wasn't just avoiding scurvy, they were flooding their system with a bioactive matrix that kept their collagen repair cycle running 24/7. While they were rowing for weeks on end, their bodies were constantly rebuilding the steel cables of their joints using the high-octane fuel from the forest. Let's get technical for a second, because this is where the functional strength lie falls apart. Collagen synthesis requires vitamin C to stabilize what's called the triple helix structure. Think of it like a rope. If the strands aren't tightly wound, the rope breaks under tension. A 2017 study from the Australian Institute of Sport showed that the timing and form of vitamin C matter more than the dose. Taking a massive 1,000 milligram pill once a day is useless because the body just flushes the excess. But a slow, steady supply, like drinking a fermented infusion throughout the day, keeps those repair enzymes running at full capacity. This is why modern pros are failing. They take a pill in the morning, their blood levels spike and then crash, and then they go train for 6 hours on empty. Their connective tissue is being destroyed by the workout, but the repair signal isn't there when they need it. The Vikings, by contrast, had a constant drip of bioavailable nutrients from their fermented stores. They were in a state of perpetual repair. They weren't tougher than us, they were just better maintained. We've been sold a story that says ancient people were strong despite their primitive lives. But the skeletal record tells us they were strong because of how they lived. We replaced nutrient-dense, fermented whole foods with fast, synthetic alternatives, and we're paying for it with our mobility. But here is where it gets exciting. Right now, in 2026, the tide is turning. Elite coaching programs in Finland and Norway are starting to go retro. They are reintroducing these traditional conifer infusions into their athletes' daily routines. They're moving away from the isolated powder model and back to the bioactive matrix model. And the preliminary data, though not all published yet, is showing a significant drop in non-contact soft tissue injuries. What can you do right now? You don't need a $50 billion industry to fix your joints. Spruce tips are available every spring across North America and Europe. Pine needle tea takes 5 minutes to make. We didn't lose this power. We just stopped walking into the woods to find it. We've spent decades looking for the next breakthrough supplement, only to find that the most effective connective tissue support in history was literally growing on a tree outside our window the whole time. The Vikings were functional because they were integrated with their environment. If you want to be more than just a Ferrari engine in a cardboard box, you have to stop relying on the lab and start looking at the land. I'm going to leave you with this. If you could trade your expensive pre-workout for a drink that actually made your joints bulletproof, would you do it? Or are we too hooked on the convenience of the plastic tube? Drop a comment below. I want to hear from the athletes who are ready to try the Viking Protocol. If you found this useful, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be doing a full video on how to brew these infusions safely and effectively. Reclaim your structural integrity. I'll see you in the next one.